So now let's talk about section 5.4, where we are going to be taking the same idea with elasticity. How does it change with quantity, and how does it change? How does it change with quantity because of a change in price or a change in another variable? We're going to be applying that to different areas here. The first one being income. So we talked before about how when you have more income, what do you normally do? Well, on normal goods, you would buy more. And if you had more money, would you buy cheaper goods or inferior goods? No, right? So you would buy, instead of buying like the store brand, you'd probably buy more name brand. That's an example of something that would be an inferior good where you buy less of it because you have more money. Income elasticity of demand is going to be basically telling you how much your quantity is changing because your income changes. So we already have the idea that you're going to be buying more, but how sensitive are you because of your income? And that's what we're doing here. So we're going to look at the percent change in the quantity demanded divided by the percent change in income. Okay? And what this number is going to give us is either if it's a normal good, inferior good, or if it's a luxury good, or a necessity. Okay? So all we're going to do is the percent change in quantity. As you know, it's new minus old divided by old. So that never changes. Okay? Quantity will always be on top. Income, or Y, sometimes we use Y as income, just so you know, will be your new income minus your old income divided by your old income. Okay, we're trying to figure out because you were here and now you make more or you make less money, right? New income. How much is your quantity changing? New minus old divided by old. So that number is going to tell us what's happening. If it's a normal good, then that means you're going to have a positive number. So you're going to do the calculations. You're going to find out with the change in quantity, change in income, and you're going to get a positive number. That means it's a normal good. More income, more quantity demanded. So both are positive, so positive number. Now, that's a normal good. If your income goes down and your quantity goes down, negative and a negative make a positive. So again, a positive number is a normal good. Normal meaning if your income goes up, your demand's going up. If your income's going down, your demand's going down. That's what a normal good is. Inferior goods are going to be the opposite. So guess what it is? A negative number. Meaning, if your income goes up, your quantity demanded is going to go down. So therefore, positive, negative, we have a negative number. Okay? So if your income goes up, your demand's going down. But if you had less money, right, you can't buy the goods before, so you have to switch to cheaper goods, inferior goods. So if your income's going down, you're actually going to demand more of these goods. So again, I'm sorry, you're going to actually, if your income's going down, you're going to demand more of these goods. So again, if income's going down, demand's going up, positive, negative, that's a negative number. So we do the calculation, you get a positive or a negative, that's going to tell you what kind of good it is. Now, as before where I was like 0 point something, 1 point something, that means it's elastic or inelastic. Same idea here. If you do the calculation and you get 1.5, okay, what does that mean? That means that you are going to have a luxury good because your income goes up and now you're buying more of these goods. I like to think about it this way. All right, if I had, $10,000, okay, I wouldn't buy a big diamond ring. But if I had a big increase in income, I probably would, right? So I went from 0 to now having it. So that's a big jump in terms of elasticity. And all of that is because of luxury goods. Okay? You used to not have it, but now you do. That's a big change. So those are luxury goods. Things to where you are buying more, but you're not as sensitive, right? So instead of buying 1 box of cookies, I'm buying 2 boxes, right? It's just like I'm adding a little bit on my necessities. Foods a lot of times are going to be necessities. Just think about your basic ones that you always buy, and now you're just buying a little bit more. Okay, so smaller change when it comes to your income changing. So that's going to be a necessity. So for luxury goods, it's going to be like 1.5, 2.2, right? It's greater than 1. That's all it has to be. Okay? And it has to be a positive number. Luxury goods are normal goods, so positive number. Less than 1, but still positive. That's a necessity because it is a normal good, something that you normally buy, right? So if you buy more of it because of your income, normal good, and you having a smaller change, that's going to be a necessity. So 0 point something, that's a necessity. 0 point something. Okay, and that's how we calculate income elasticity. All you're going to do, okay, is I'm going to give you, for instance, you make $5,000 per year, and you buy 10 cookies, but now you make $15,000, and now you buy 100 cookies. Okay, so we have our new income, we have our old income, we have our new quantity, and we have our old quantity. So just like the elasticity formula, okay, you'll plug it in, you'll go straight down, you'll subtract, right, and then you'll subtract, you'll divide, and then you'll divide again. So this number should be, let me see here, if you want to follow along me real quick, it'll be 100 minus 10, so that's 90, divided by 10, so we have 9, and then your income will be 15,000 minus 5,000 divided by 5,000, so that'd be 2. Alright, and now we have to pay attention here. Okay, is it a positive number or a negative number? If we did everything correctly, it should be a positive number. So therefore 9 divided by 2 should be 4.5. So if you're following along, we should have got an income elasticity of demand for 4.5. Okay. I'm sorry. Y. Income elasticity of demand. So 4.5, what does that mean? What kind of good is that? Number 1, it's positive, so it's a normal good. And number 2, it's greater than 1, so it's a luxury good. Okay, so that's how you do it. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is cross-price elasticity. So how this one works is that we already know that if something's more expensive, like Coca-Cola, I'm going to buy more Pepsi. All right, and we also know if I'm going to buy more movies, okay, I'm also going to demand more popcorn. So substitutes and complements, right? So basically, how sensitive are we to these things, right? Just because the price of Coke goes up, like how sensitive am I to my change in Pepsi? Things like that. Cross-price elasticity is going to show us if something is a substitute or a complement and how closely they are related. Okay, so what we're doing here is we need 2 goods, right? We're cross-pricing here. We're looking at the price of Coke and the quantity of Pepsi, right? We're crossing over here in terms of trying to figure out elasticity. So all you're going to do is take the percent change in the quantity of good A. Okay, so the quantity of Pepsi. And then you're going to look at the percent change in the price of good B. So the price of Coca-Cola. Right, so because price of Coke goes up, what happened to the quantity demanded of Pepsi? And when we do this number here, that's going to give us a positive or a negative number. A positive number is going to be a substitute good. And that makes sense, right? Because if the price goes up of Coke, I'm going to buy more Pepsi, positive number. If the price of Coke goes down, I'm going to buy less Pepsi. So negative makes it a positive. So positive number is a substitute. Complements. If the price of a movie goes up, am I buying more or less movies? I'm buying less movies. If I buy less movies, I buy less popcorn. So positive, negative, that makes a negative number. Okay, and vice versa. So if we get a negative number, that's going to be a complement. Okay, so here's how it goes. If the price of Coke is $5, and your quantity demanded of Coke is is 15, and then your quantity of Pepsi is 25, and then all of a sudden the price of Coke goes up to 7. What would happen to the quantity of Coke? It would go down, let's say to 10, and then let's say the quantity of Pepsi goes to 35. So I threw this in here kind of to throw you off, because if I'm looking for the cross price elasticity, which quantity am I using, Coke or Pepsi? I'm going to use Pepsi because we're looking at the cross price. I'm looking at the two different goods here. So what we need is the old and the new. So I'll do new. What goes on top again? Always quantity. Quantity always goes on top. So we'll do new minus old, new, old, and then we'll divide that by old, and then we'll do the new price divided by, minus the old price. So 7 minus 5 divided by 5. Okay, and if you want to follow along here, this should equal 10, 25, 2, and 5. So that should be 0.4 and 0.4, so that should equal 1, right? So if that equals 1, and that's a positive number, that means that these are substitutes. Okay? If we did this another way and we got a negative number, that's going to be a complement. Okay? Now, the bigger the number, right, then the more elastic it is. So that would mean that they are more they are closer substitutes, right? So like think about it like if there was Coke 1.0 and Coke 1.1, right? Like they're so close to being the same thing, then it doesn't really matter what they are. So as soon as the price of Coke goes up, you don't buy any of it, you only buy this one. So we're going to have a big change there. So the bigger the number, the more close of a substitute it is. Okay. So the same with complements. Okay. If the negative number is a large negative number, that would mean that they are very strong complement goods. So if we got like negative 100 as the number, these are strong complements. So like every time you buy cars, you need wheels. So that would probably be a very strong a very strong complement. So we would have a very high negative number, like negative 100. Okay. So what would that mean if we got closer to 0? Well, if we got closer to 0, right, that would mean that they are not really complements and they're actually farther from being substitutes. So if we had 0, if you calculate the price elasticity of demand and it equals 0, that means there is no relation. They are not substitutes, they are not complements. So no relation. Okay, so think about it from this standpoint, right? Like if the price of milk goes up, how would that affect your demand for shoes? Right? I mean, are these substitutes? Hopefully not. Are these complements? They could be, but I mean, let's think about it. It's milk and shoes. Okay, so probably not. So those two, right, would be closer to 0 in the sense of no relation. So that is how we would understand the numbers. The higher positive number, the more substitutable they are. The higher the complement, the higher the negative number, the more of a complement they are. The more times you have to buy these things together. And the closer to 0 you get, the less relatable that they are. Okay? Some other elasticities that we'll talk about, they're all the same thing. If we're talking about the wage elasticity of labor, right? How sensitive businesses are when the wage changes. So because the wage goes up 10%, how many less employees do they hire? Okay. So we're looking again, what goes on top? Quantity. What goes on bottom? Price. So we'll do the percent change in the quantity divided by the percent change in wage. I put quantity of labor supplied here because let's look about it this way. If we were to change the wage, right, let's say by 10%, how many more people are willing to work because the wage goes up? That's a very interesting point, especially from a macro standpoint of trying to figure out, we want more people to work. What is a good way to increase the wage enough to where we can have more people working? So that's how we would look at wage elasticity of demand. Labor. The next thing is the interest rate elasticity. So basically, because the interest rate changes, how much more are you demanding in terms of financial capital, or how much more are you supplying? So it's just a change in the quantity because of the interest rate changes. Okay. So that's the different types of elasticities that we have. The biggest thing here in terms of just elasticities, no matter where it is, quantity will always go on top, and it's always new minus old divided by old. The only time that's going to change is when you do midpoint method. Midpoint method will be new minus old divided by the average. That's the difference. And if you need to watch this video again to talk about the interpretations of these, okay, please watch it again. But other than that, we will have an exam over chapters 1 through 5, so I can really understand if you know everything that we've covered so far. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.